Welcome back to the second hour of Citizen Extra live on Citizen TV. My name is Wahiga Mwaura, and as of course you've been seeing from our first broadcast or first hour broadcast on Citizen Extra, big day for several counties. What we can say now is that new county governments are taking shape, and over the next hour or so we'll be discussing devolution, what have been some of the wins, some of the losses, quote unquote, and what can we expect to see from the governors that will be, for those who will be carrying on their mandate and for those who are taking over the next 5 years or so. Shortly, I'll be introducing my reconstituted panel that will help us take a look into these issues. But before that, let's take a look at what's happening in different counties. We are live in Nairobi, we're also live in Kisumu, Migori, and Uasin Gishu. Let's first take a look at what's happening in Kisumu County, where we know that Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o is expected to take his oath of office. The instruments of power will be handed over to him. Should of course Jack Ranguma be in attendance in this particular ceremony, but of course he received them from a representative of the county government. He was the senator of this county and decided this time round that he would aspire for a higher office. What you can see on your screen, of course, is the entertainment that would precede the solemn part of the ceremony. Now, this was a bit different because it was the other way around. The solemn part of the program started off first as soon as the president arrived, and then what is happening now at Uhuru Park is more of the entertainment. But in Kisumu County, what we are seeing is a build-up to the actual solemn part of the ceremony, and so some entertainment, song and dance, music, just to entertain all those that are in attendance. Residents of Kisumu obviously invited, plus various dignitaries who would find time to be there, and will be able to highlight who is there as soon as we're able to make them out. Also live in Migori, where of course Obado will carry on with the role of governor of that county. He beat Ochilo Ayako. He garnered 195,854 votes against Ochilo Ayako's 111,250 votes, and thus took that seat. He has been given a fresh mandate by the people of Migori County. He vied on an ODM ticket, while his closest rival, Ochilo Ayako, after losing in the nominations, went on as an independent. So you can see the sort of elaborate setup that is being seen in different counties. Of course, some governors have refused some of these ceremonies, saying that they would rather that the money that was allocated to this ceremony should be used for something else. I know that in Nairobi, Governor Sonko had felt that the budget should be used to pay staff. In Kitui, Governor-elect Charity Ngilu had asked that the money be used for water projects, 6 million shillings or so. But some governors have nevertheless decided to allow the operations to carry on as is. The elaborate setup ongoing, and any minute now we expect these two functions in Kisumu County and Migori County to kick off. It will be interesting to see for the incoming governors what tone they will take and how they will begin their 5-year term, especially the first 100 days. That's a benchmark that some use in politics to ask their governors, what is your plan for the first 100 days and how can we hold you to account? While for those who have been given a fresh mandate by their voters, in the case of Governor Obado, what will he do differently in his second term? What are the lessons that he's learned from the first term? Who will he retain in his cabinet? Who will he, of course, drop out or scrap or fire, so to speak? Interesting questions that I hope we will be able to engage my panel. We'll be able to engage with my panel here in studio concerning. But of course, a big day for different counties. We also know that tomorrow is another big day, as the first 3 lady governor-elects from Kitui County, Kirinyaga as well, will take office, and Bomet, and that is a historic day because we know that in the first 4.5 years since the new constitution, there were no lady governors this time round. 3 beat their male competitors, and a lot of attention will be on them tomorrow. But of course, these are ceremonies that have been happening since last week, and we'll continue to keep our eyes and focus on them, and as soon as we know something definite is happening there. Right now what we're seeing is a lot of the build-up to the program, and we'll cross over there for that particular part of the program. I'd like to welcome my panelists in studio. We've reconstituted them rather a little bit. Let me start with David Osiani, a public policy analyst. Welcome to the broadcast. Thank you so much for being here. We've retained Kaikai Kissinger, but Michael Agwanda, political analyst. Welcome to the program. Thank you. Dr. Robert Kagiri, who is a director at the Center for Strategy and Policy. Welcome to the broadcast. And also Mildred Kisiangani, a youth leader who is also involved in global and local politics. Welcome to the broadcast as well. Thank you for finding time to be here with us on what some would call a historic day, with the county governments taking shape. Let Let me start by getting your opinion. I'll start with you, Mildred, on devolution for the last 4.5 years or so. Big win, big loss, or still not there yet? How would you, rate devolution so far and what we are seeing in the county government?
Well, I will speak of we are not yet there from my expectations, especially the fact that in the last 4.5 years, no governor passed the audit test.
Okay.
You will notice that. That is a major concern, which depicts mismanagement of funds.
Although some of them would counter you and say that the case is still ongoing and so forth, but
in as much as it's still ongoing and back and forth, just all of them, like 47, it's a big disclaimer. At least we could be having like half of them not. So I expect this season we are going to strengthen our systems and deal with some. We can excuse them because devolution was a new thing, and definitely they had a great task in putting in place everything. But for the second term, I'm looking forward to have less corruption scandals in our county government as compared to the first term.
Okay, Dr. Kagiri, let me ask you the same question. We've seen what 4.5 years of devolution looks like. We've seen the formation of county governments. Some of them will say that they were the front runners and thus were learning on the job. But how would you rate them? And of course, your expectations briefly of what Kenyans can expect in the next 5 years.
Thank you, Rita. I'd like to agree with you that what we had in terms of devolution in Kenya was what we can call the Big Bang. In March 2013, we went to vote, and the next day we had county governments where none existed before.
Okay.
That's why we call it the Big Bang of devolution, which is very revolutionary. Devolution has been done in many countries in the world, South Africa, the United States, but it has never been done so drastically. So when these new governors came into place, there was nothing waiting for them. What we had was a transition authority that was now set up structures for them, and many of them did not even realize what the job entailed. As you have noticed, we now have quite a number of senators who run for governors. They never realized where the executive powers really lied. So they were working on untrodden paths. And in my view, because of this situation that existed, I think they performed quite well.
You think they performed quite well?
Yes.
Okay.
In terms of setting up structures, if you go to the county assemblies, there are no county assemblies. Some of them have been built from scratch. I've been to Western Province, former Western Province, and I've seen new structures put up, new laws drafted from scratch. There were no drafters. They really didn't have anything in place.
So you would rate them at what? 60%, 70%?
I'd give them a 65.
65%.
Yes.
Okay. Some would say that you're being very generous. Michael, you don't look like you agree.
I don't. Devolution came with a lot of expectation from the people, and devolution also came as a big bang, as my brother is saying, and people expected so much that perhaps was a little bit elusive in this past 4.5 years. I think devolution came and suddenly people realized in their own counties that there was a lot of money that could be played around with. And in fact, as a result of devolution, we have many millionaires out there that have not acquired their resources in a legal manner or in a proper, hard work way. It has been a little bit easier for perhaps those who seem to be closer to the people that were in power, like the governors and the speakers and many people that are now millionaires and multimillionaires because of devolution. However, that is not to say that we haven't seen some good work done by these governors in the counties.
Okay.
I can tell you that there are many counties in this country that open many roads that have never been opened since independence time. And they are motorable in a sense. And that to me is the good value that devolution has brought about.
So you don't want to throw out the baby, the expression throwing out the baby with the bathwater?
Absolutely not. They've tried in many ways. Many places in this country are today accessible. In fact, some counties were getting tarmac roads for the first time in the history of this country since we got independence. That's a result of devolution. However, we cannot say that devolution has not also had some of its, pros and cons. But I think purely purely the places that seem to have run in a moth in terms of inheriting the inherent corruption from the central government down into the county government. Those are the places that you'll find where the governors who knew how to steal money best and knew how not to be caught also went away the whole thing.
Let me stop you there because I want to bring Kaikai Kissinger in on the same note. Let's talk about the Auditor General's 2016 report. It showed that billions cannot be accounted for in counties, and I think it was up to or over 37 counties, and we have 47, so that's a clear majority. As we speak, some of these governors are out of office. Do you think that those cases of corruption will be followed up? How difficult or easy is it to do so? And of course, what lessons can the incoming governors learn from the ones, the first crop? Because if whatever happened in the first 4.5 years can happen to you as well if you pick up the same pattern.
I think let's not be very harsh to ourselves, and let's ask ourselves what was the spirit behind devolution.
Okay.
Why did we want ourselves as this country to go into devolution? Remember, the old constitution didn't provide issues of devolution, and these devolution issues debates were there for a long time. And when the then politicians were pushing for devolution, and the whole essence for us going into devolution was to try and split the cake. And we said that power is so much centered at the winner, and the winner takes it all. So then we went into an elaborate constitution and enabled devolution to take place. Now, the reason why I'm saying we shouldn't be very strict to ourselves and beat ourselves very harsh is that we have to compare ourselves with the countries that have done very well in devolution. So I can mention a few countries that have done well in devolution, and then you realize that devolution takes time. It's not an instant cup of coffee mechanism.
Which countries are these?
Look at how Australia as a country has dealt with issues of devolution over the years. Look at Canada. Canada is also a devolved country. Look at the United Kingdom, operates on devolution. Look at the US, operates on devolution. What am I saying? That these are a lot of countries that you're mentioning. Just a minute. Look at Nigeria in Africa.
Let's talk about the African context.
The reason why we are talking about foreign countries that sometimes we adopt this system from foreign countries, and there's nothing wrong with adopting them. Look at Nigeria, with how the population of Nigeria and how Nigeria has been able to manage devolution. Look at what the challenges that Nigeria
faces. You think it has managed devolution well? Yes. You say that governors are small.
No. That's what Kenyans wanted. That's what Kenyans wanted. Kenyans wanted devolution. Kenyans thought that's a better way of governing themselves as opposed to the president and the winner taking it out. So we have to deal with these issues now that we are with them. What we now have to ask ourselves, what are these things that have not worked in devolution? Now I say that we are beating ourselves by judging ourselves very harsh in terms of saying that we should be here. Look, we've only done 4 years of devolution. We've had our own challenges in terms of devolution.
Okay.
We are fixing these challenges of devolution. So what I'm communicating is that devolution will take ages to evolve properly to the standards that we want. Nigeria has its own challenges of devolution, and one of the biggest problems of Nigeria in terms of their developed governments is that corruption has been now devolved to the respective states. Now, this is where we ought to gather the country in terms of ensuring that the country we don't devolve our corruption from the head to the
it's already happened.
Now, it may already be happening.
Yes.
We already have the Auditor General's reports talking about these issues. But remember, as a country, we have a very good constitution that has completely decentralized the 3 arms of government. We have institutions that are working. Judiciary is working. The legislature is working. So these things are being dealt with these working institutions. So let's not beat ourselves too much.
Okay. David Ofiani, let me bring you in on this. You were nodding at some point when Kaikai Kissinger was speaking, but other times you were quiet. Do you agree with what he has stated?
I think devolution is one of the greatest fruits of the new constitution of this country, because devolution was able to guard Kenyans from the bureaucratic, economic and political elite who oftentimes are unimaginative, parochial and very selfish. Alright? Now trouble is we have created new elites at the devolved levels, and the tragedy with our devolution has been that we were unable to, and it doesn't seem reasonable that we would be able to in the nearest future deal with devolving corruption itself. And so we've ended up with the devolved units doing, I bet, pretty well so far.
Okay.
People would identify with Lagos wouldn't identify with. And it has kind of shifted quite a bit the attention from the presidency to our local leader. Fine, the presidency has its bit to do, and they still hold 85% of the country's pulse. But how are we using the 15%? Because to whom much is given, much is expected. And so if you're given that little and you're demanding for much, and we have not been able to, you've not been able to achieve as much with the little, then giving you much would be, tragic. And so I think our devolution system, for 4 years of practicing devolution, looking at the gains made, I bet we have done pretty well. And, I don't want us to stick with the narrative or the imagination that we cannot borrow from context outside of Africa, because then we must decide to lead and learn. Policy is internationalizing every day. So we learn from different contexts. We tweak those lessons to befit our local context and see what is achievable and what is not. And if we stick with, let's talk about Africa, and yet we know that we have a challenge, our software challenge, then we're going to have a problem. And so as we are learning hardware from China, we want the best roads, we want the best whatever it is. We are quick to learn hardware, but we are not very quick to learn software. And we must then shift focus to try and see how to deal with our software. How can we have a lot more people with a lot more integrity who would then run our devolved systems? And it's not only about the governors, it's about holding even the MCAs to account. Because that way then they know they have a duty to hold their governors to account. Tomorrow, if the governor does not perform, then it will be his problem. I know there are 22 governors who are going back to office. They have the advantage of institutional memory, having set the foundations and therefore running those foundations. The new ones also have the advantage of not getting into an entirely new thing. At least if they're readers, then they know how a little bit of it works. And for those who will perpetuate corruption, Martin Luther King has the best word for them. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Somehow it catches up with them.
Let me bring you into this discussion. As we speak right now, there are 25 former governors who are at home. They are not, or rather they are attending the swearing-in ceremonies of whoever has taken over from them. What did they do wrong? Okay, those who've chosen to attend, thanks David for that. What did they do wrong, and what lessons can those who are coming in learn from them? 25 means that more than half, in more than half the number of counties we have in Kenya, the voters there decided that we want fresh blood.
I agree with what most of my colleagues have said. There's been a lot of vices that we've been singing about devolution in our country. I still emphasize on mismanagement of funds. And it's reached a point, now Kenyans are enlightened, the civic educations. Kenyans know their rights. And Kenyans will always wait for these people at the ballot boxes. I want to challenge the governors who are already there to know that after 5 years, they will still be evaluated by the same Kenyans. And for the governors who retain their seats, they are better placed because right now they understand the systems. And we expect a lot more from them, more than even the
more expectations now than ever before.
Yes, because they have the advantage of experience and other things. Others, we also understand our politics. They're also politically incorrect.
So, and if they were politically correct, they might have gotten a second term.
Yes.
If that had happened. Let me bring Dr. Kagiri into this. I want to switch gears now. A topic that has come up even as we're discussing is about decentralizing of power. And devolution was meant to effectively decentralize power, make the seat of the presidency less lucrative from what we've seen in the past. Unfortunately, what we saw during the 2017 election was that as much as there was a lot of focus on the counties, still, when the presidential declaration was made by the IEBC, you saw the reaction in parts of the country. It still means that the seat of the presidency is still held dear across the country. What does that say about devolution? Has it not done what it was supposed to do? Because the promises that were made was that once devolution is fully implemented, the presidency will lose its luster and glitter. But I don't know. This election, is that what happened? Has that happened?
Thank you for that question. I think it reminds me of a cartoon I saw in one of the dailies which had the head of a human being, and they called it the 48th county. And the 48th county is our mindset, which has not quite devolved. Okay, so we have been used to a system for the last close to over 50 years. It's only 2013 now, 4.5 years, but we are just beginning to understand the devolution and what it can do for us. And like I told you, you can see how many even miscalculated, some of the best minds in this country, miscalculated and ran for senator rather than governor because they didn't know where the seat of power, executive powers, lied within devolution. So you can expect Wanjiku has had a hard time understanding this whole concept, having been used to the provincial administration.
That's right.
So this paradigm shift is what is making a lot of people still focus on the presidency. We have seen the Council of Governors agitate for even the 15% minimum to be moved up to 45%, and I believe this will happen in the course of time, perhaps in this period, when people will start realizing that the devolution of resources, and when we talk about devolution of resources, we are talking about infrastructure, money, and human resource, is now down to the county level. You do not need to go to the national government, what we call the national government now, to get things done for you. It can be done at the local level. The governors...
Has that gospel reached the ground?
It has not.
You don't feel that even after 4.5 years?
Yes, there's been a big failure in civic education. People to get citizens forums moving, people to understand their role in public participation. All this has not been done the way it should have been done. And yes, please.
Okay, David, come in.
Just go ahead.
I also disagree that devolution has there's been lack of civic education. In my honest opinion, it's the problem of equitability. All right, there is no way the president is going to lose its luster when the president still controls 85% of the country's budget. All right, and so if the people looking from outside in are able to see that the way the 85% is distributed is not equitable and that it benefits other places more than the others, then they will quickly lose focus, and that's why it will retain, the presidency will retain that last year unless and until we are able to devolve a substantive amount of the country's budget.
What is substantive?
Maybe 30% as Jubilee proposed, or 45% as NASA was proposing, until we devolve that, because then the impact of that amount, even with corruption, because we've suffered corruption in the past 4 years, but even with that massive corruption, you've still been able to see some parts being done, some road being done in the village, and a few things, ECD classes, name it. So if we are able to devolve a huge amount, and we are able to show to Kenyans that this can benefit them, the narrative will probably change, so that the people in Kisumu or in Teso are not going to be asking what is the problem, because when they come to Nairobi and they travel to Nyeri on a dual carriage and they cannot even see half as much or a quarter in their parts, there is a problem. It makes them feel or believe that their problem lies with that. However, it is important to have civic education, because our people also don't understand that they must be able, there's so much, with that 15%, there's so much that can be done that they just don't know about.
Michael, in light with what we are discussing here in studio, and Kissinger, I'm coming to you as well, what should be the focus of the Council of Governors moving forward, and led by Josephat Nanok? What should they be agitating for? What should be the engagement with the national government? Of course, depending on how the petition at the Supreme Court goes, nevertheless, what should be their focus?
The Council of Governors holds a very pivotal role in this country. In fact, if anything, the Council of Governors, the chairman of the Council of Governors should be that one powerful individual that even the deputy president should not even near him, in the sense that this is where really rubber meets the road. My brother here has talked about amount of money that is still left at the central government controlled in Nairobi, and that is about 85% of all the revenues in this country. You will not have proper devolution when you still have Ministry of Health being controlled at the headquarters in Nairobi, where the governors will say, we've done our part, but we still need Ministry of Health to be involved in this thing. Well, if they were given an opportunity to fully operationalize Ministry of Health, and so the question is, why would they still transfer some of the powers to the Ministry of Health? You will not have proper and clear devolution in this country until such a time when you will have Ministry of Devolution, which is having more money than even the counties, all the 37 counties, and you say, oh, we've devolved, and therefore you guys just need to do your work in your respective counties. We will do our bit here. Well, devolution has still not been effected fully 100% until such time when counties will have authority and autonomy to do what they're supposed to do without necessarily referring to the central government. Ministry of Education, devolution. Why do we need Ministry of Devolution in the first place? Who tells us that governors must be supervised other than the several arms of the law that you need to check on corruption, that you need to check on implementation, not necessarily implementation, because that should also be checked on through the legal system. They have the assembly, the county assembly, they need to check on that. Yes. But the question we are having today that perhaps we need to ask is, are the governors having proper accountability from the very arms of the government or the county government that is supposed to check on them? Absolutely, because what has been happening in the last 4.5 years is the county assembly threatens the governor a little bit and he dishes the money. Gets some money somewhere. I don't know where they get the money, but they seem to get it and he dishes the money and everything goes quiet. Oh, we are now impeaching you. Now it's even a bigger stake. And by the way, we go somewhere again and we get the money. If we continue like this, we will never see the end of this. What I'm saying in a nutshell as I conclude with this part is I think the several arms of government like EACC, DCI, and the DPP need to come and know that they are independent and that they need to check on the operation of every individual in this country. And if they are found culpable, they need to go to jail. Not that they bribe this EACC. In fact, one of the officers of the county government told me, man, we are in the government, and those EACC guys are part of the government. So let's talk to them. And this is why prosecuting these people, dragging them to court, has been really, really difficult. Good. I hope go ahead, sorry. I hope that this new crop of governors will be able to be checked properly, and that we'll have serious arms of government that will say, if it is corruption, we'll get to the bottom of it, and we'll have you in jail. You're giving an example of Nigeria. Look at when they began the devolution. Over 50% of their first governors went to jail. I want to see some governors go to jail. I don't do it. I want to see governors then go to jail, didn't solve it.
We also have to understand, trouble is we haven't changed anything at EACC, at DCI, and at DPP. So it will be more.
I want to add on something from what you have said. I think we've also been focusing on the governors so much, and we've ignored the role of the MCAs who allow all this to happen. It's a high time we also start pointing fingers on our MCAs, because our MCAs play a crucial role in trying and regulate our governors, but most, like you said, that dishing of money, things like that, we need to, I feel our MCAs need some empowerment. Even if when you look at our elections back at the grassroots, people, Kenyans are so much disconnected by the power that the MCAs have. We have not been putting that serious in our head while electing the MCAs. That's why you see
you casually elect your MCAs without getting them.
Even the qualifications are a bit wanting. So these people cannot keep the governor on checks and balances. Actually, MCAs is known as the role of people who are not yet there, like, let's say academically. Let me be a little bit gross, but when you go back to the grassroots, that's what is happening. We want to see competent people. We want to empower the citizens. Should be empowered to know the role of these MCAs. That without credible MCAs, the governor will not do much.
You've actually preempted one of my questions. Let me bring Kaikai Kissinger into this. One of the Achilles heel for governors of the last 4.5 years was county assemblies, specifically MCAs there who would threaten them, and I think Michael has done a very good job of demonstrating exactly how that happened and where money came out from under tables to sort that issue. How will governors navigate the murky waters of county assemblies moving forward? And I hope they've learned the lessons, but how do you think they should go about that?
Before I answer that question, you asked a question that went around, and I think it's important that we revisit it. And I found that question very critical in terms of, we have now only 22 governors
who
who made it back to
Council of Governors
to
office, yes.
To office, and out of that, out of the 47, so we are looking at a deficit of about 24 of them failed to clinch
25
of them failed to clinch that seat. And you asked then, you are wondering, which I thought was very, very, very good. You are wondering what is it compared to the office of the presidency. Now we need to put this into perspective. That one, this is the second election under the new constitution where governors are seeking for office. Now, when you compare the governors who garnered for office in 2013 and now, you realize that there was no much information out there of really what are the functions of devolution and how this position of governor would work. Number one. Number two, at that time in the constitution, there were no clear spelled out terms and conditions of service for the office of the governor. So when they came into office and through the submission of the Council of Governors, then their terms on service of condition then developed over the years. Then you realize that out of the 6 elective positions, one of which then became most lucrative. Most lucrative in terms of the salary, most lucrative in terms of the benefits that come with it, and most lucrative in terms of the power.
There was even an argument about whether they should have flags in their official cars and so forth.
So now you have to look at it from the historical perspective. So this office has developed all of a sudden from nowhere, then all of a sudden it's so lucrative. Now, when you come in the context of 2017, so I knew all along. In fact, I was surprised that 25 or 22 of them lost. I actually thought more will lose. Because when you come, they made the office very lucrative. So when you come along the way, some guys in the current election shifted base and wanted to become governors. And most of it want to become governors. They didn't want to become governors because they believe in the dream of devolution. They want to become governors because the cake is sweeter to eat there. Now, so the nature of politics is very competitive on the position of governor. Two, those who lost, the 25 of them who lost because they made so much goof. Yes. So much goof and mistake in the first 4.5 years that it was just apparent to the voter that they did not deliver anything. A few of them did a very good job, and we can count. I'm always a good supporter of Mutu of Machakos, of the efforts he made there, and I wasn't surprised that he made it back because of the effort. So you had to work extremely hard as a sitting governor to fail to clinch.
You have to work hard to fail to clinch. Exactly. I know you want to talk about county assemblies. Let me go get there because we need to cross over to Uasin Gishu County, where we know that the swearing in of Jackson Mandago is about to take place. John Wanyama is on standby. I think we'll have a chat with him and just find out what the program there is like. What can we expect as well? We know that Mandago beat Zedekiah Bundotich, also known as Buzeki. Governor Mandago getting a second chance to lead the people of Uasin Gishu. He garnered 194,952 votes against Buzeki's 145,689. Governor Mandago was vying on a Jubilee ticket, while Buzeki was an independent candidate who had initially tried to get the Jubilee ticket, and when he did not, he chose to vie as an independent. This was one of the counties that a lot of people were watching because of the titanic battle that was expected between those two individuals. And I think John Wanyama now can just put that into perspective and just let us know exactly what is happening at this time, when that ceremony will take place, and whether Buzeki is in attendance, as well, just to watch this take place. Wanyama, if you can hear me, kindly update us on the latest from Uasin Gishu County.
Thank you very much. And here in Uasin Gishu, as you've said, we are waiting for any minute from now just to see the governor-elect Jackson Mandago to arrive in this field here to be inaugurated again for the second time in office. And we are at exactly 64. We are exactly here to ensure that Governor Jackson Mandago, people want to witness him being sworn in here in Eldoret. Maybe just a few things to touch on, maybe to paint a picture for you what's happening here, is that Jackson Mandago any minute from now will be walking in this field to be inaugurated again, and security is very tight here in this field, and the police are not giving anything for a chance, but they are ensuring that if you enter in this field, they are ensuring that they check you thoroughly, and then from there you are directed to a place where you have to go and eat. You must eat first before you are allowed to come to sit down and see what is really happening here. So in Uasin Gishu County, people are happy, and as you can see behind me, people are singing, people are enjoying, people from different walks of life, just to come and witness what when a history is being written here in Uasin Gishu for the second time. Jackson Mandago being in the office for the second time, and the people are happy. You know, Uasin Gishu was an interested place for people who wanted, people were waiting to see what will come out after before the election, because you remember Uasin Gishu was very tight, especially in the gubernatorial seat where Jackson Mandago was facing off with the businessman Zedekiah Butonditsky-Brob, Elias Buzeki. In Eldoret, and as you can remember, the task that Mandago has now is to ensure that those people who didn't vote for him are also getting equal chance. Is uniting them, because in the conceding message from Buzeki was that now Mandago is the father of the county. Now he has the task to ensure that all people, those who voted for him and those who didn't vote for him, are coming together to ensure that he brings them together, to ensure that they come together in one, and as one, because they are living in one county, he is now the father of each and every person living here, just to ensure he brings them together so that they don't see those differences. Jackson Mandago will also be remembered for one thing, that he's the only governor in Kenya that was supported by both Jubilee government and by NASA, and he also shocked people at one point when he went ahead to endorse two aspirant MCS from NASA political divide, and this also shocked people. And also yesterday, the same governor was seen also in Turkana going to stand and in solidarity with the Turkana governor when he was having his inauguration just a day before today. From Uasin Gishu, we are still following up on this story, and as I've told you, Uasin Gishu is now singing a different song. Unlike the other time when people were feeling like there will be hitches here and there, maybe there will be wars in Uasin Gishu, but today is a total different game, because Mandago once said Uasin Gishu learned its lesson in 2007, 2008, and today the tough man, 47-year-old Jackson Mandago, has said never ever such a thing will ever happen in Uasin Gishu County again. From my side, I have we are still following up on this story. You plus our viewers, you will be the first one to be informed on what is happening in Uasin Gishu County, and we'll never let you behind. And as you know, as usual, as we lead and others follow, so you will be the first one to be informed on what is really happening in Uasin Gishu County, when and how it unfolds. Back to your studio.
Well, thank you, John Wanyama, for that update. I can clearly see the excitement that is there right now, even as you wait for Jackson Mandago to take his to enter office once again. He's been given a fresh mandate by the voters there, and glad to know that all's well, that ends well, in terms of the tension, quote unquote, that had been there before, but the election they are going well. Mandago being given a second term, and we will go back to Uasin Gishu as soon as we know that the ceremony is officially about to start. What we saw on our screens clearly was some entertainment, a build-up to the solemn part of the ceremony. Let's now cross over, or go back rather, to Kisumu County, county number 42, where Professor Anyang' Nyong'o has arrived, and I'm told he's just taking part in some of the festivities there before the solemn part of the program also kicks off there. We're also live in Migori County. Okoth Obado also was given a fresh mandate by the voters there. He had quite the battle there against Ochilo Ayako, who was running on an independent ticket, while for Obado he was on an ODM ticket. So those are the images that you have on your screen there. We are live in Kisumu and Migori, keeping a close eye on activities there. What we can see is that residents there have gathered in number to witness those two, swearing in ceremonies, patiently waiting for the festivities or the pre-part of the program, the build-up of the program to end, and waiting for the formal part where the oath of office will be taken, where instruments of power need to be exchanged. For example, in Kisumu County, then that will take place as well. Just pretty much quite similar to what we've seen in Nairobi. Most of these ceremonies taking a similar format. The program is pretty much the same. What might be different is how each county will choose to celebrate in this particular ceremony, but in this particular ceremony is happening across the country. But the program all seeming to have a similar format, where entertainment begins, the governor-elect, or if it's an incumbent governor, arrives here, some song and dance, music, celebration, showcasing of some of the talents that are available in that particular county, and then thereafter the solemn part of the program, and then after that maybe food and drinks. I don't know, depending again on the budgets of these counties. Some chose to reduce or scale down their budgets, hold very simple programs, and reallocate the resources to developing the economy or the economies in those counties, keeping an eye on what is happening in Migori and Kisumu at the moment. A big day for former Senator of Kisumu County, Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, and a big day for incumbent Governor of Migori, Okoth Obado, who has been given a second term. And it will be curious to see, after the kind of battle that both men have had to carry out in their counties, what their contribution will be to their counties moving forward. A lot of expectations, as my panelists here in studio have said, with these governors, now that Kenyans have better understanding of devolution, Kenyans have studied what is happening around the world, in the West, in Africa, and they're asking their governors a lot of questions. We've given you, these tickets, whether it's a fresh ticket or a second term in office, but you now need to develop our counties. And also we expect to see a lot of comparison of counties, where residents will say, we are seeing a lot happening in another county, we are not seeing it here. What is our governor doing? So no governor can, quote-unquote, sleep on the job or take a holiday. They are expected to get to work immediately, because Kenyans are even more aware of their democratic rights and the roles of governors, the roles of county assemblies, and they will be put to task. MCAs, we also told, will not be allowed this time to do whatever they want. Kenyans are also watching county assemblies, asking questions. And you can see that a lot of MCAs were actually sent home because voters in their wards felt that they did not perform as expected. They did not follow their role. They diverted from what was expected of them, and thus in many counties you would find 90%, 95% of elected MCAs were sent home, and a fresh batch given a mandate to take over. Whether that, whether new MCAs will learn from their predecessors, well, I guess only time will tell. But you can see the setup that is happening in Migori, in Kisumu. Nairobi happened a bit earlier on. And we have just also brought you live images from Uasin Gishu, where we expect, or will be crossing back there, when Jackson Mandago, begins the solemn part of the ceremony. I can allow my panelists to come in, and we had heard, of course, that some governors were rejecting elaborate ceremonies and saying that they want simple programs. Is that a sign that Kenyans feel that the previous set of governors were extravagant in how they carried out their duties and their business and so forth? Kaikai, you were talking, I can allow you to kick us off. The fact that they are rejecting some of these packs.
Yes, before I go to the packs,
yes,
there was an issue which you had raised.
Can I hold you there first and revisit that later, because I want you to comment on what is happening on the screen?
On the issue of the money that governor is meant to use to be sworn in.
Yes, for example.
Purely a prerogative of the governor.
Okay.
There's no legal requirement that mandates a certain ceremony to incur a certain kind of a cost. And that's why you remember the last government in the swearing in of 2013, some governors ended up using quite a lot of money in terms of being sworn in. So it's something that is it's in the social fabric of somebody. If I'm being sworn in as a governor and I realize that I don't need a lot of money to be sworn in, then I will go ahead with that. Now, I'll give you examples of how some governors have gone around this. Look at Charity Ngilu of Kitui County. She made it very clear that she doesn't want to spend a lot of money in being sworn in. All she will require is space, and she will require a Bible. Because those are the key things that she yes. And she said, I do not want this kind of money, because there are better things I can use this money for, and one of them she identified as being water. You know very well her county has issues with water. The second governor, who will set a very good example, although I'm surprised what I'm seeing, is Anyang' Nyong'o. Anyang' Nyong'o was saying, fine, I also don't need to spend quite a lot of money. Because remember, he's the CEO of the county, and he's the county officer of the county. And he said, no, I'll spend less because there are some people who are killed during the challenges of the declaration. Yes, after the commission, and I use this money to fix their issues. I don't see if that's what's happening.
Okay, I don't see
that's what's really happening, because I can see a very elaborate tent there. But whatever it is. The other governor who actually also made it very clear in terms of not spending money was Mutua. Mutua also said that he will not spend quite a lot of money in terms of swearing in ceremony. But then what I saw in Mutua's case was completely different. So what are you saying? What you are saying is that Goodwin and Songo as well. Songo said very well that he will not spend much. I don't know whether what we saw on the screen is 25 million. or not.
Although he says that he's funded it, a lot of it, from other sources, it's not from county government money.
So what are we saying? What we are saying is that it's a prerogative of the sitting governor to decide how much he has to spend. Of course, this will be accounted for and it will be audited for.
Okay.
But some have chosen to take it easy and cheaper in terms of that because there are more demands than swearing in. You can imagine spending 25 million in a single sitting of 2 hours. The whole ceremony just takes 30 minutes.
Yes.
So it's the important part of the 30 minutes. So it's something prerogative.
Let me come back to talk about county assemblies. Let me bring in Dr. Kagiri. Do you think incoming governors are doing this because they realize that a lot of money has been spent in the past and they don't want to follow that narrative, or is it a PR stance to show that I'm different from my predecessor? And how long can you keep a PR stance? Is it believable long term?
Well, first let me correct one thing. The first crop of governors that came in did not just have a wide latitude. I think they were allocated 2 million. And each county was given 64 million, but the 64 million was not for the ceremony. 2 million was allocated for the ceremony. 64 was to refurbish the offices. So there has been a misconception here. Actually, there was a limit on what they could use.
Okay.
Now that the county governments are in place, what is happening is that now they have more discretion in terms of how much they can use for that ceremony, because things have evolved over time. But I do not think that it's just showbiz that they are.
You don't think it's just showbiz?
No, because you see what happened the last time, and I agree with Kissinger here that about Mutua. The ones who hit the ground running the last time and went straight into development, have been able to come back.
Give us examples.
Especially Mutua.
Okay.
I'll give you an example because I've visited the county extensively. He has been able to come back despite the wiper wave, and the reason is because when you go there, the actual development that has happened. Even the same Kenyatta Stadium where he was being inaugurated, he has redone the whole place. Okay. He refused people to even walk on his grass during the sevens, that is the Macha sevens that he sponsors. He made a new garden for Machakos. Okay, so he's had a few issues on procurement, which have been going on back and forth. But at the grassroots level, people do realize that he hit the ground running, has been quite transparent in terms of the way he's been focused on developing the county. Okay. So people have taken note of that. Other incoming governors have taken note of that, that if you lose the momentum in the first 30
or 1 year,
even 30 days.
Oh, 30 days.
30 days, 100, that's where the game is lost. If you don't get the momentum then and win people, you've seen Sonko himself say, there was 2 million.
He started working before.
Yes, he took his first of all. He's been already hitting the ground running. He went to Rwanda to see how to clean up a city. So people realize that you drop the ball at the first instance. If you get running at that point, you can build on that momentum. And I think that is what they're trying to do. It might be symbolic in terms of, they have budgets of up to 8 billion. So 20 million is not that much. Yes. But the symbolism that I am here to serve you will augur well for those who are following that direction.
Okay. Yes. Michael, let me also bring you in on this. So is it a good omen starting at a fast pace? Is it a sign that you could then be re-elected because the people have seen that you're a hard worker, quote unquote, from the very beginning?
First, I want to say that most of the budgets that were done in the previous government, whether they are, the outgoing governors or some of them that have been re-elected, were done by the county assembly, and they passed some of these budgets. And so they are not budgets that the governors themselves came out and said, I need 50 million, I need 25. The county assembly looked at fit and said that maybe 25 million will be sufficient for Sonko to be able to, not necessarily Sonko, for the incoming governor to be able to be given a nice welcome into the city, and so it was passed. And so it is not the prerogative of these governors. They might have thrown in a budget there, but of course the county assembly did approve them. Secondly, I want to say that I am reading, good old man mischief here. Let me start small and just move on. And if I spend a lot of money here, everybody's going to mark me as one extravagant governor. And let me give you a specific one like Sonko. Sonko decides that I want to perhaps reduce my my immigration expenses to a bare minimum. But when you're in town, which I was in yesterday, I was walking in town, and I found many young people dressed in Sonko rescue team. I don't know who they were rescuing, but I know for a fact that they were picking litters and putting them somewhere. Well, this is a philanthropic activity that perhaps Governor Sonko has been doing for many years, and even when he was not the governor of Nairobi. But remember that there are people employed by Nairobi County to do this very work. And so the question, when every county is battling with the issue of a blotted workforce, where they say in some counties they're paying close to 80%. And the question that we are asking Governor Sonko is he going to bring all those money that has been added on the street to make them employees of the county government that is already having an insurmountable wage bill that they cannot possibly handle. And this is what the outgoing Governor Kidero talked about. Dr. Kidero several times that the workforce here is chewing a lot of our cash. The question we are having today, I think they're saying this, and then suddenly they realize, I have an avenue here. Now I am the governor, and I have the resources that perhaps can even pay some people that I've been working with on the side. Let me tell you, the wage bill in this county is what is making this county really not do well. And if it is not checked, perhaps we're just going to go into a situation where by the end of 5 years, a guy will tell you, you gave me a lot of money, but I used 80% to pay my workers. I had only 20%
to develop. And what can 20% do, for the entire county? And so these are some of the tricky issues. But I can tell you, it is easier to have an elaborate, function and to welcome the governor, and it is also very easy to have just a simplistic one. But remember, here is the catch. The catch is this: everything that you do with the county, you have to go through the entrepreneurial process. And what people do out there is they know that if I give Nairobi County, for example, X number of chairs, Nairobi County does not do event programming, and so they have to outsource this. They know the bureaucracy that is there to get the chairs and to get the tents, and they know how much time they'll have to spend to even get their money, and for that reason they will charge you dearly, and that money will still go out there to pay some of those things.
David, Sonko Rescue Team. We were watching the inauguration ceremony of Sonko and his deputy governor, Polycarp Igathe. You've seen his activities. He's been talking about them on social media, cleaner. What happens to the Sonko Rescue Team moving forward? Should they expect that their fortunes will increase? Will they be merged with the county government, or is this the end of the Sonko Rescue Team?
Sonko, I think most of the governors, Sonko and many other governors, are good students of regional politics. I bet many of them are borrowing from Magufuli's, action when one day there was a national holiday and he had walked into Muhimbili National Hospital and found that there were not as much as beds. And so he declared that on this day I'm not spending a dime. Let's spend the day cleaning the city. I'm going to allocate this money on Muhimbili Hospital, and he actually did that. Now, whether our political class and the politicians are able to, whether we can hold them to account, and you guys can find out whether, the 6 million given to charity, who is a lady I really have a lot of respect for, and I think she will do a great job. It has been used, as she said. But I want to, about Sonko Rescue Team, Sonko now has a lot of patronage. That power, being the governor for Nairobi, is no joke. And so even without touching the county resources, if he wants to be able to get money for his own things, the amount of power he wields naturally attracts other monies from other quarters. That's how power operates. So you will have strategic partners who probably are looking at investing in Nairobi. Mr. Governor, this is a 50 million for your foundation. We realize you're doing a good job. When the truth is that they're angling for probably doing, a light rail in Nairobi. So such opportunities are probably going to make that a little more visible. However, I don't know how the conflict is going to be resolved, because you have the county workers who have a role to play, unless you're telling us you're going to fire them because you are able to sustain this on the basis of goodwill without touching county money. Otherwise, what Sonko must be able to do, and I think it's PR stunt, PR works, what he should be able to do is to One, audit the county register. There are a lot of ghost workers. So when we say 80% is gone, weed out the ghost workers, retain the sizable number of workers, and ensure that you hold them to account. Just let everyone do their jobs. It's what Magufuli has done. It's what must happen.
But because the Sonko rescue team is not in the law, you don't know where to place them. Some would call them an illegality.
No. It was registered the other day by the NGO Coordination Board. Fazul registered it. Quite appropriately, as it registered KHLC. And so because it is an NGO, it is a foundation, it's a charitable organization. You can't quite stop it from doing its thing. Okay, right? The thing is, there will be that conflict between professionalism, people who are given duty to do this, and I think when it gets to, because Sonko is not wealthy. He's a man of modest means. He's just rich. But he uses his riches a few times to, and gets the cameras to show that he's wealthy. He's not far from it. He's not even as wealthy as the definition of rich versus wealthy. But that's what wealthy is the billionaire class. Rich is below the mark. Okay. So he's a man of modest means, but who knows how to use the little he has to gain that attention out there. Okay. So Sonko will be at a conflict because sometimes he will need to use county resources when he can't get into his pocket in the starting days to pay these people. At that point, there will be clash and he'll be held to account. But several governors have done very good things. How they use their PR. Mutua is a communication expert. He's been able to use the TV and the radio for his good. But there are governors who've done even much more than Mutua, like Kivuta Kibwana, who has the best health policy in the country. By far. And some of these governors, because of their distance away from media, cannot get as much attention as possible. And it's not because the media chooses to, it's because of where they are placed as and when, or that their communication teams may be defective. So this PR stamps will go on, but when it's all said and done, as Dr. rightly puts it, those who are able to get the momentum going. The Kitui governor, like Malombe, was kicked out, I believe, because he said, I'm still, I'm a professor, I'm a doctor, I'm trying to get to understand, put policies in place. But people don't want that. They want, can our lives change now? Would Sonko go to Kenyatta Hospital tomorrow and get facilities in conjunction with the presidency and say, this is it? Then people walk in and say, wow, Mamangilo or Mamangina has changed. Lucy Kibaki, as I think it's called, has changed. And those immediate things, simple as making the town clean. Give it to Mutua. He may not have done as much or whatever it is, but when you lead Mombasa Road to detour into Machakos, you appreciate. Clearly, what you're saying is that voters in the counties are looking for quick development. What they can governors and what they can see. We take a break now. On that note, during the break, David will continue to enlighten me on rich versus wealthy, even as we continue to have that discussion. When we come back, we'll continue with this discussion. In addition, we'll be taking a look at what is expected to be a very busy week for legislators and former legislators as they jostle for plum jobs in the Senate and National Assembly. We'll also take a look at that topic. This has been the second hour of Citizen Extra, live on Citizen TV. We'll be right back.